Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. Hope everybody's well, hope everyone's having a nice week and enjoying this little bit of sun that we're having at the moment. So I thought we'd do in today's video, just crack on with the camp. Like I mentioned last time, I've got the tripod which I wanted to complete. I've also just set up the top just at the back of us there. I've been cleaning out a little bit of an area where I want to put a fire for cooking and that kind of thing. But also just running alongside the tripod, I thought we might make one of the goalpost cook systems. Also show you a few other notches, that kind of thing, and also I've got the tag which I want to do. Okay, so hopefully the camera's picking everything up, it's not too dark under the tarp. But just to start off with, we've got the pieces of wood which we cut last week for the tripod, which I just stood up by the tree there. I've also brought a couple of pieces down so that we can make a couple of pot hangers. And then also I've sourced the pieces of wood which we're going to use for the goalpost. So we're just going to start off with the tripod. There's various different ways of doing them, but we're just going to lash this one around the top just so we can either keep it up if we want to, or if we want to put it down we can just close it up, stand it up against the tree, or perhaps just stand it up at the back of the tarp, that kind of thing. And that's the beauty about tripods really. If you're not using them you can move them out of the way, unlike the goalpost system that once you've driven it into the ground it's pretty much going to stay there. So we're just going to come out just into the sun, may as well take advantage of it and crack on with the suntan. So the wood which we're going to use, these are just little pieces of ash. I think there's a old piece of hazel. It doesn't really got to be anything spectacular. So the idea is obviously get them so that they're the same length. So these are around about, I'd say around about 4.5, maybe 5 foot. And what we're going to do, we're just going to lay them down on the ground. And if you can twist them just so that they lie evenly. Just like so. And then it's just a case really of deciding what kind of cordages that we're going to use. So I've got a couple of different sorts. I've still got the spool of jute there, but I've also brought out some bank line, which is a nice tough cordage, so I might just use that. So it's just a case really of just starting off by forming some kind of loop so that you can attach it to one of the poles. So we're just going to do a clove hitch for that. So just 2 loops, feed one at the back of the other, and then we can just put that over the top of one of the poles. Pull it down to where you think you want to attach it. Then I'm just going to tighten that up just to stop it from coming loose. And then if you wanted to, you could leave a long tag end just on the clove hitch, and that means you could actually have that hanging down, and then you could suspend your little pot hanger off that, but we may just cut it off, I'm not too sure yet. So I'm just going to pan the camera down just to show you how we're going to fasten this up. Okay, so there's the clove hitch, just fastened to that pole there. And it's basically just a case of going under and over, and then under and over. And we're just going to do that probably around about 3 times. So we're going to go under that pole, over the outside pole, and then we can wrap. So it goes underneath, over the top, and then back underneath the first one. Just making sure, like I was saying, that we can keep them nice and level. And over the top of that one. And then underneath that outside one. I'm not pulling too tightly at the moment. We can sort that out in a second once we've done a couple of the wraps. I don't want to pull it too tight and distort the wood. So just take it over them couple of knots there. So we've gone underneath that middle one, so we're going to go over the outside one, like so. And I'm just going to draw these loops down, and then just go one more time. So as you can see now, we've gone around 3 times, everything's nice and level. And what's going to put the tension on the cordage, we're going to do some what they call frapping wraps. So we're just going to take the cordage around the lashings that we just done. So we're going to take them around a couple of times. That's going to help put the tension on it. So if you're having a job pulling on the cordage, you can just get yourself a piece of wood and just make yourself a toggle and just pull on the toggle. But that's not too bad at the moment. I'm just going to take it over the other side. If I can just pass it around them knots. Get off just coming through underneath. I'm going to do the same just on this side here. Just like so, and then we can just tie that off. So there's the wraps, nice and secure. Not looking too bad. And then, like I mentioned, we've got this long tag end here, which we could cut down to whatever length we want. And then I've just got an old pot hanger here, so I'm just going to cut probably, I'd say around about 12 inches. We're just going to tie just a quick loop in it, and then we can just attach the pot hanger, and we could use it if we got the fire going. So just snip that excess off there, just a quick overhand knot, doesn't need to be anything fancy. And then you could just insert your pot hanger. And then that can be adjusted then to whatever height you need it to cook the food, or perhaps boil water, that kind of thing. But we're going to make another one of them pot hangers anyway, so I'll show you how to do them. But that's not too bad. Okay, so that's the tripod made now. The next thing we're going to do is the goalpost. So for that I've got the 2 upright pieces, and I've also got the cross piece, which is just a little piece of willow. I think the uprights, looking at them, look like the hazel. And then we've also got a couple of pieces which we're going to make the pot hangers out of. So the first thing we're going to do is point off the bottoms of these. I didn't find anything to do any kind of chopping on, so we're just going to have a hike and just go over to where we were last time. I'll just take the axe over with me. So, like I say, we're just going to put a point on there. It doesn't got to be anything too fancy, but just before we do it, let me just show you the kind of stick that I'm using. If you're making these kind of things, you're better off getting yourself a stick that's got a Y as opposed to a proper fork. It just means then that you've got this straight piece of wood here that you can knock into the ground. If you got them coming off at opposing angles, you have a job knocking them into the ground, you're then tempted to hit them in between the forks there. There's a good chance of snapping one of these little prongs off. So I've gone for the Y, like I say, and it's around about 1.5 inches thick. So we're just going to use the axe just to put a point on the bottom, just to save a little bit of time really, and just save the edge on the knife. Okay, so that's the frame now made up. Very simple. It doesn't take too long. I think the longest process is just actually finding the wood. So the next thing we're going to do is attach the pot hangers. So they will hang underneath and they can be adjusted then. So the way which we're going to do that is we're going to put notches just up the back here, and then I brought just a little piece of wire out. We're going to make just some little loops just on the cross piece, and then we can adjust them just on there. So that's the next job. So the notch which we're going to use on the pot hanger is that one there. It's referred to as either a beak notch or a pot hanger notch, and the idea behind it is that we carve just a little bit of a beak just so it can grab behind the wire, or perhaps you put in a little divot just in the crossbar or something like that, and it's a perfect way of hanging pot hangers and that kind of thing. So the idea behind it is we're going to run a series of them running up the stick, and it just means then we can adjust the height, depends on what we need the pots from the fire. It is a little bit more technical than the number 7 notch which we used on the stakes there, but we're just going to pan the camera down and then we're going to run the series of them just up these sticks here. So again, a couple of pot hangers, a little bit of difference just in the thickness. I suppose the easiest ones which you can find is just a straight stick which has got a little bit of a twig coming off it, and those have been snipped off, and that should be perfect for it. The only thing I would say is if you're going to be hanging heavier pots, perhaps with a lot of water in them, you might just want to go with something just a little bit stronger, but for the majority of the cooking which I do, that there should be perfect. So the first thing that we need to do is to put a cross just in the back, and on this one I'm probably going to put, I'd perhaps say 3 notches. So you can either put the cross in with a saw or you can put it in with a knife. I've just got the saw at hand here. So we're just going to start off just at the top here, and then just making sure that you're putting it just on the back side opposite to where the pot hanger itself is going to be. Not going to go too deep. So as you can see there, that's the cross, and the reason why I've used the saw just on the first one is just so it's just a little bit clearer, just to show you. One thing I'm going to do on the others is perhaps just push the knife in and just get that shape there, but if I did that there's going to be less chance of you seeing it. So the next thing which we've got to do is decide which one of these little beaks is the thing which we're going to use. But because we want the pot hanger hanging from the top, we're going to keep that part there which is going to be the beak, and then we're going to get rid of the rest of it there and carve it out. So just taking my time, I don't want to get too close to this part yet and start damaging it, so we're just going to slowly just work our way around, just removing the excess wood so that you can come up to that first little cut there and then pull them little pieces off. So just taking a time, there's no rush with this. And then if you've not gone deep enough with your cut and you've still got little pieces hanging on there, you could just push the knife in and just remove those. Okay, so that's the 2 sticks now with the notches in. That's taken around about 15 minutes, so not too bad. So what we'll do now is just have a quick mooch back up and just see how they work. Okay, so there's the two pot hangers. So all we've got to do is just feed them just through the loops, and they will hang just like so. And then if you want to adjust the height, it's just a case of dropping them down or lifting them up. So a couple of things which I brought out with me, things which I use quite regularly, are the pots and the bottles and that kind of thing. So if it comes that you just want to perhaps put just one of these zebra billy pots on, that'll just hang nicely just as it is, and that'll hang on both of them. Again, you can adjust the height, just determining how far you want it away from the fire. But then if it comes for things like the little Pathfinder cup or perhaps a water bottle, something like that, I have brought a couple of extra hangers. So for the Pathfinder cup, it's just a little wire bail which I found. I'm not sure what it was off, I found it at work. But again, you can do exactly the same kind of thing. Hang that just off your hanger and then adjust the height accordingly. And then when it comes to bottles, just something just a little bit different. I've just made just a little toggle and just put it on a piece of wire. And then if you wanted to, let's say, boil your water in a bottle, you can just hang the bottle just from the toggle, and then just hang that, and it's as easy as that. And again, you can adjust the height just dependent of how far you want it from the the fire from the bottle. So very quick, simple method. It allows now for multiple things to be cooked or boiled, and the beauty of it is you haven't got to wait for a bed of coals to start forming. As long as your fire's going and you've got heat rising, you can pretty much start cooking from straight away. And because you've got everything hanging over the top of the fire, the heat itself dissipates around it a bit more than perhaps if you just got a pot and you just push it into the fire. It may just heat up just more over one side. So that was the kind of thing which I wanted to come for. So we've made this, we've got the tripod done. I'm just going to clear the back away a bit more, then perhaps make some kind of windshield just to stop the smoke and everything getting blown into the camp itself. So just whilst I'm waiting for this cup of tea to boil, I thought I'd quickly just show you this. I've had this for quite a while now, and this is what's referred to as a grunt line, and it's a multi-purpose, basically a bungee made out of 3 pieces of rubber. At the moment I'm just using it like I would do a bungee, just on the top. And these kind of things, you could use them for exactly this kind of thing. They also say you can use them for an emergency tourniquet. But the idea behind them, with them being these 3 pieces of rubber, you can also use them as a washing line. So you just open up just one of the pieces of rubber and just let it close up on the item. And these kind of things are perfect if you need to dry anything off in the evening time. Perhaps you've been out hiking all day, your socks are wet, perhaps your jacket's wet, your trousers are wet. It just means then for something that's very, very lightweight, you can pack it away in your pack. I just wrap it up with the stuff that I use with the tarp, and it means that you've always got something at hand then, just to quickly angle your gear up, dry it off, or just air it off. That's better. Nice cup of tea, sitting under the tarp in the shade. Absolutely beautiful. Just whilst I'm under the tarp, what I thought to do is just quickly run through the tag, which I said I'd do. Now, I've been tagged by a couple of people. I've been tagged by Joe, and I've also been tagged by Carl. So the one which we'll do today is Joe's. He probably around about a week or two before Joe asked me to do this tag, so this is the one which we'll get done. So I just want to thank Joe. Joe's over in the States, aka Spider Outdoors, so hope you're keeping well, Joe. And he asked me 3 questions. The first question was, which was the first bushcraft knife, or the first belt knife which you ever had. Now going back, it's probably around about 94, 95, I used to work in an outdoor shop or mountaineering shop, that kind of thing. And when I left to start my fishing career, just working on fisheries and becoming an instructor, that kind of thing, they very kindly brought me an EKA belt knife. I'm not 100% sure of the model name, and unfortunately over the years when we're travelling up and down the country, moving out for work and that kind of thing, it's unfortunately got lost, so I can't show you that knife, but I will put a picture up of something very, very similar. The next question he asked is which knife do I carry the most? So for those of you which watch the channel know, I do like Alte's knives. I have got a couple of them. I've also got a Ben Orford's and a couple more of that kind of thing. But the knife which I seem to bring out the most nowadays is this one here, which is Alte Right Genesis. I'll just pan the camera down just to stop that little bit of glare and just give you a close look at it. And I've had this knife for around about 4, maybe 5 years, something like that, and I've been absolutely chuffed to bits with it. Full tang knife, Scandi grind, and the steel on it is A2, so the A just standing for air hardened. A little bit more forgiving than 01 tool steel. It doesn't rust quite as much, but absolutely awesome knife. My Carter handle scales, they were green when I originally brought it. I don't know if they've gone brown due to the dirt and the sweat, or maybe it's just taken up a bit of the colour just out of the sheath. But sharp 90 degree spines are perfect for using with a ferro rod or just processing down wood, that kind of thing. And the point on the knife is what's referred to as a spear tip. Now I was a little bit dubious about it at first. I've always been used to knives which are a little bit longer, so perhaps more in the woodlaw style. But you know, for any kind of fine work, or like we've been doing today, just cleaning out notches, I've been absolutely chuffed to bits with the knife in general. You can get them in different steels, you can get them in different grinds. This was one of the original ones when you could only get them in the A2 steel with the Scandi grind. And the sheaths themselves are very, very nice as well, hard wearing. They do come with a ferro rod loop. So if you've got a ferro rod that you want to carry, it just means that you can carry everything all together. And then the last question at the tag was which is the knife, or if you're going to buy another knife in the future, which one would it be? It's a bit of a tough one really. I'm not a massive knife collector. I've probably got around about 10 knives in total. That includes the belt knives, the folding knives and that kind of thing. But there's always one knife which I always have liked the look of and always wanted it for its history, that kind of thing. Will be one of the original Allen Wood knives which Ray Mears had made, especially if you've got the white handles. But nowadays you can still buy them. They're not made by Allen anymore, they're made by Embelief. It's changed owners, or the knife manufacturers have changed over the past few years. Unfortunately somebody died, and now Embelief, you know, seem to make Ray's knives for him. Absolutely awesome knife. I do love the history behind it. I do like, you know, it takes me back to the beginning of where I started learning all about this kind of stuff. And again, you know, if I'm going to be spending around about £500, you know, I'm not sure how much the white handled ones are. I have seen them for around about £600. I know that Ray does give them to you if you become one of his instructors down at his school. But you know, very, very expensive knife, 01 tool steel. Very, very similar looking to the GNS which Alte makes. I'm not sure if that style of blade was taken off Ray's knife. But again, if that was the knife which you could buy in the future, it'd be one of Allen Wood's knives. I will leave one of the photos, but I'm sure, you know, that everyone's seen them, you know, whether on the TV, in books, or just online. So whatever guys, I hope you found that interesting, especially those of you which may just be starting off, just learning how to put the tripod together, and another way of suspending your pots and your bottles and that kind of thing. Next time we come out I will do Carl's tag. I just want to thank Joe again for that one. Carl's, I may have to bring a few items out for the tag, hence the reason just for doing Joe's now, just whilst I'm out, just completing 1 or 2 little jobs. So next time we come out I will have to clean away just the area at the back of the fire. I'm going to start building some kind of windbreak, like I was saying, just to stop the wind from pushing the fire and also blowing smoke about. And also I'm going to start getting the wood together for making some kind of raised bed. So like always guys, you want to stay safe. If it is that you're locked indoors, fingers crossed that it won't be for too much longer. And like always, I just want to say thanks for stopping by. Until next time, take care and I'll see you again.